This is the MoYu WRM version 10, and it might be one of the best cubes that I have ever reviewed. So what makes it so special? How does it perform? And most importantly, should you buy it? Well, first of all, let's go back to when I unboxed this cube. And off the bat, you might notice how incredibly similar it looks to the version 9, and this is carried through to what's in the box as well. Taking a look at the accessories, and we get the standard MoYu stuff, including their custom tool, which is finally useful on a cube, as well as some booklets and guides. Getting into the actual cube now, and after a struggle to get it out of the box, we move on to first turns. And straight away, it is very fast, with many overshooting mistakes and lockups. However, I do not think that this is down to any issues with corner cutting, but more so how fast the version 10 is. Moving on now, and taking a look under the center cap, we can see the big selling point of this cube. An all new custom tensioning system that allows for up to 64 different feelings. Personally, I am so glad that MoYu have finally moved away from their old system after way too long. Another thing to notice is that this cube has a 20 magnet ball core, which means that whilst in place, the corners are tracked. However, when a layer is misaligned, the edges repel to ensure less mistakes are made. But now let's go on to some stock solves where no changes have been made to the setup of this cube. So first of all, like I said, this cube is way too fast at the beginning, with it being incredibly uncontrollable and unstable. This means that I frequently lock up and overshoot turns, causing a significant increase in my times whilst using this cube before a proper setup. However, I do think that the corner cutting is very good, as it has flawless smaller cuts and it can even tackle some of the larger ones with very little effort. Furthermore, I am a huge fan of the UV coating, and I genuinely don't think I will be able to main a cube in the future that doesn't have this feature, as it is so vital for good grip. One instant issue I am noticing is that the V10 feels very hollow straight away, which may just be down to how it sounds, but definitely something that you will recognise if you buy this cube. On the same topic, the high-pitched sounds and clackiness isn't very nice to turn on, and it is so desperately in need of being set up. So to do that, I first tightened both the compression and tension by 3 clicks, as it came on the loosest setting out of the box, and that didn't allow for very good controllability. Then I added some Pires to slow it down to a more reasonable level whilst also providing more stability. Now it's feeling really good, which is where we can go onto the final review. And let's start with the positives first, followed by 3 things that I do not like about this cube, which I think are very important to cover. And finally, I will give a verdict on whether this cube is actually worth it. But to begin, after trying multiple settings on the version 10, I can confidently say that the all-new tensioning system is genuinely one of the best things MoYu have ever added to their cubes. It is now significantly easier to get equal settings on every side without any hassle at all, compared to how many micro changes you had to make to get it even on some of their older cubes. The design of this system is also incredibly intuitive to use and understand, with little cutouts and notches to show what setting you are on. In my opinion, it's actually better than Gan's system, as you do not need to change the tool in order to do both adjustments, as one is clockwise and the other is counterclockwise. So moving on from that now, and another thing that I really like about the version 10 is the enhanced stability. After making the cube slightly tighter, the ball core became even better in providing incredible control whilst turning during fast solves and algorithms. This, combined with the adding of lubes, ensured the amount of mistakes I made decreased significantly. Therefore, the differences between my times on this cube from before and after setting it up was very noticeable, which is something that I was slightly worried about before making all of the changes due to how slow I was on it at the beginning. And this just shows that now, most cubes can be set up to perform well regardless of how they come out of the box. And this just further emphasises the great tensioning system because of how easy I found this perfect setup. On top of this, the corner cutting stayed pretty consistent even after it was tighter, which is great as this cube can cut most of the normal imperfections that would happen during a solve. I mean, I have tried cubes that can go further and cut more, however, realistically, there will never be a time during a solve where that is necessary, which means that the version 10 is in a perfect midway point where it isn't ridiculously over the top, whilst also not being incredibly stiff. Once again, contributing to less mistakes, especially in the more finger trick orientated part of a solve. And before I move on to the very important negatives, I have one more positive, and that is that this cube has a massive range of different features based on which model you buy. Obviously, I can only comment on the more expensive one. However, from the reviews I have seen online, I can confidently say that you won't be disappointed with any of the 4 choices. And so if you want to buy the Weilong version 10 or plenty more products, then check out speedcubing.org, who were kind enough to send me this cube. Their incredibly fast delivery options means that you won't be waiting long for the puzzles to arrive, which is always great. Furthermore, the cube cubes are priced really low, helping to ensure that you can get the products you want without spending too much. So click the link in the description to find out more, and with that, let's move on to the negatives of this cube. First of all, and most importantly, there are no adjustable magnets. This is really annoying considering a cube like the Tornado version 3 does offer this at a lower price, and I always feel like 3x3s without different magnet options never quite feel how I want them to. On this one they are too weak, which I don't like. However, this is just personal preference and you might be completely different. Currently I feel like MoYu are constantly making flagship priced cubes and not quite including all of the features to justify the price, especially when competitors are making cubes for cheaper and giving you all of these extra things. Once again, like the Tornado version 3 with adjustable magnets. The second issue I have is that I don't really see the benefit of spending more on the maglev version. I mean, if you want your cube to feel faster and more frictionless, then you can achieve this by putting in a fast lube, even if it has a spring. Alternatively, you could just make it looser, and considering that version still has UV coating and still has the 20 magnet ball core, you are likely to not come across any issues with the lack of stability if you do this. So I would choose to save £6 by going for the spring variant if I were you. And finally, before I tell you whether this cube is worth the price and if you should buy it, the final negative is the sound it makes. Even after putting in lube, there are still high-pitched, annoying sounds that sort of portray this cube as cheaper than it is. This is an issue that I would expect on something like the RS3M line of products. However, when it comes to the Weilongs, MoYu should really be focusing on the smaller things like this. I mean, even Diane can make their cubes feel good at just £15. So MoYu really need to do this a lot better when it comes to their next set of cubes. And finally, in conclusion, I really like this cube. The tensioning system makes it a whole lot better than the version 9, and it is actually cheaper than the old version, which is really nice. Like I just mentioned, I would recommend going for the spring ball core UV variant of the version 10, and just using a faster lube if you think that it is too slow, as maglev doesn't really make enough of a difference to warrant the higher price. If you have tried this cube, let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you have found this video useful, and click here to watch more. Thank you for watching.